Let's start with a simple scenario. Two men sitting in a diner late at night, having a few drinks and talking. The question is, how does a casual, alcohol-fueled conversation between acquaintances suddenly escalate into a massive $50,000 real estate transaction? That question centers entirely on this exact artifact, a scrap of paper, complete with a handwritten agreement and two signatures. The next day, the plaintiff, W.O. Lucy, tries to enforce the sale of the property. The defendant, A.H. Zehmer, refuses. He claims the entire thing was a drunken joke, never meant to be taken seriously. This disconnect between a signed document and a claim of a private joke creates a conflict in how the law measures intent. It forces a choice between a person's hidden thoughts and their outward physical actions. This graphic maps the case's trajectory. The original trial court sided with the defendant, Zehmer, voiding the contract entirely. The court based this decision on Zehmer's heavy intoxication and the late-night bed, ruling these factors proved a lack of intent to sell. But the plaintiff appealed, moving the dispute up to Justice Buchanan and the Virginia Supreme Court. Justice Buchanan examined the events of that night and reversed the trial court's decision. His key finding was that Zehmer never explicitly presented his joke, his non-intent, while in Lucy's presence. This specific appellate ruling established the objective theory of contracts. It dictates that the common law must evaluate and prioritize outward actions over internal thoughts. To understand why the Supreme Court ruled this way, we have to place both parties back into the exact physical space on the night of the dispute. This breaks down the competing perspectives. Zehmer's left side shows his subjective experience, a drunken bet and a rash, joking decision. He assumed Lucy couldn't produce $50,000. Conversely, Lucy's right side reflects a formal, sober property negotiation spanning hours. The evening culminates in a definitive action, both Zehmer and his wife applying physical signatures to the agreement right in front of Lucy. Because these two accounts directly contradict, the court cannot simply pick whose personal testimony to believe. They need a rigid, structural framework to evaluate the evidence. This framework separates valid evidence from irrelevant claims, the iceberg of intent. The submerged portion represents internal states, biases, private jokes, and unvoiced assumptions. For Zehmer, this meant the alcohol, the joke, and assuming Lucy couldn't pay. Because all of these factors remain trapped inside Zehmer's head, they never breached the surface of the human interaction. To the court, they are legally invisible. Instead, the law focuses strictly on the visible iceberg above the waterline. These are objective actions everyone sees: physical presence, the evening-long discussion, and signatures applied by Zehmer and his wife. Thus, Justice Buchanan found that Zehmer never outwardly presented non-intent to Lucy. This sets the defining rule of the objective theory of contracts. Hidden internal thoughts cannot legally override clear outward actions. If intent to sell is proven by these outward actions, what happens to the other legal requirements for a valid contract? Contract law relies on two other necessary pillars. The material terms must be definite, and the communication to the offeree must be clear and concisely understood. This illustration shows the court's weighting. The physical signature is an overwhelming legal force. Validating it triggers a cascading effect, balancing remaining elements in the plaintiff's favor. Since Zehmer didn't contest the discussion specifics, the court assumes the terms were definite and communication was clear. Proving objective intent through a physical signature creates a structural assumption. It forces the court to accept that all other necessary contractual elements inherently exist. This diagram maps a natural human objection. Holding an intoxicated man to a rash bet feels morally wrong. As noted in the student's analysis, these strong contextual factors, it does this to ensure society maintains a reliable, predictable system for validating agreements. This brings the legal lesson out of the historical diner and directly into the modern, fast-paced professional environment. Many assume that valid contracts require a true, subjective meeting of the minds. They do not. As the case analysis observes, I always receive copies of all paperwork that I apply my signature to, thus assuming it to be a legal contract. This guarantees that the physical application of your signature acts as the ultimate proof of intent. Your internal jokes, hidden bets, and private states of mind vanish the moment your pen meets the paper, leaving only your objective reality for the law to judge.